Welcome.
Welcome to Political Beatdown. I don't know if I was I just
You
standing
were a
still
little
there for 5
frozen there
seconds?
for a second in the introduction. So here, let me take it over. Welcome. I'm gonna put on my radio voice now. Welcome to Political Beatdown,
Well,
starring
Cohen,
Ben Meiselas and yours truly, Michael Cohen.
it didn't show me. I mean, I think because I was just getting off with what if I just stood there for like 10 minutes? But just so the people know who are watching, I kept my stance, though. I was very dedicated to that.
Yeah, you got to close the stance. You got to close the stance just a little bit.
But I didn't move. I didn't flinch. I was waiting. I was waiting for it to go live. Waiting for it to go live. I assume what happened is because I've been going back to back lives, and I was just live with Karen Friedman Agnifilo discussing things that we can't necessarily discuss here on this show. The StreamYard software got a little bit confused. But anyway, Michael Cohen. People don't need to hear the technical stuff. Michael Cohen, welcome. And the first thing I just want to ask. Look, there's obviously so much I want to ask you. There's so much I want to talk to you about. Obviously, I respect the brigaders, respect everybody respects that. You've been very clear that you are not going to be discussing the events that are taking place in trial. And if at all, I veer into areas that discuss it or may discuss it, you'll just simply turn off your camera. And this isn't something like you're not on trial. There's no gag order against Michael Cohen. You are a subpoenaed witness. Donald Trump is the criminal defendant, but you made, I think, a important call to do what you're doing, and we obviously respect that. What I think I can ask you, though, and everybody wants to know, is how are you doing? How are you feeling right now? Are you able to kind of just take some time to yourself to do some hobbies? Like I want to speak about.
You know what I hate, Ben?
Not Michael Cohen, the witness, Michael Cohen, the person.
So I'll tell you what I hate. My entire life, I've been somebody who is continuously active. I actually thrive on the action. It's why I ended up going to work at the organization in the first place. And now I feel very much, if not even more so, hindered in my life than even when I was on home confinement. No matter what you do, somebody has something to comment about. Oh my God, a buddy of mine calls me up and he says to me, "Hey, there's this lady that's talking about you on one of the shows because on your TikTok show that I do at 10 p.m., I'm talking about his baseball hats and his shoes and the sneakers." And they actually showed like 60 seconds of people putting funny, gifs on you and stuff like that. And they're talking about, oh, well, he could be ruining the case. Let me be clear. I will not talk about this case. That was my promise. Am I going to talk about sneakers? Am I going to talk about an ugly hat? Fuck yeah. But even that, I'm trying to find things to do, right? I've basically finished, I think, almost every single decent show that anybody has recommended. I'm taking these nice long walks through Central Park, meeting up with friends over at my favorite coffee place a couple blocks away, just sitting outside, enjoying the sun. The stress is enormous. Fortunately, according to the doctor, I'm going to be okay. So no worries, depending upon, when I finally, finish and I finally testify. After that, I'm going to end up doing a stress test. There's a lot of pressure on me, and a lot of stupidity by pundits that all have, comments that they want to make and so on. My comment to everybody is, let's just all take a little bit of a breather. And I am talking to myself here more than anybody. Just take a little bit of a breather, right? Things, you can't stop. You can't stop time. It's the one thing that no matter how rich or, that you can't buy time. It is what it is. You go to sleep, you wake up. Is that the day that they're going to call me? I don't know. Maybe. It could be the day after. Sure. I have no clue. And I wish that, I think, is what's probably giving me some anxiety. But again, I will not talk about any of the specifics. I will not talk about anything. I am trying as hard as possible to stay away from any news whatsoever. I can't tell you the number of episodes I've seen of court cam, below deck, parking wars, I mean, neighborhood wars. I can't believe that this stupidity is actually on television. But worse than that, Ben and Brigaders, I can't believe that I've been actually watching this shit. I feel stupider today.
So
for
Cohen,
watching it, for watching all this, I feel much stupider than ever before.
So Cohen, as of now, though, you don't know when you're going to be called. Is that fair?
That's fair to say.
Okay.
But I will tell you, one of the things that I am trying to stay abreast of is everything that's going on right now in the college campuses, and it's really getting ugly out there. It's sad because we rely. Look, one of the things that I have said on Mea Culpa, I've said it here, is that I do believe that between women and Gen Z, that the election is going to be a massive blue wave. Sadly, though, I'm beginning, to even question the Gen Z aspect. I don't understand where this is all coming from. It doesn't make sense. It's almost like everybody wants to get in on the Instagram lives or the Facebook lives or the social media lives in order to, project themselves. It reminds me of like the Million Woman March and so on. You had people that were there and you're like, hey, what are you doing here? There, I have no idea. I just heard that there was going to be, some big march going, and I wanted to, I wanted to put it up on my Instagram. I don't understand what's going on. There's so much that is right about the protest, but there's so much that is wrong about it too. Peaceful protest, absolutely. But when you start barricading yourself into schools, when you start intimidating and, using threats and, anti-Semitic tropes against your fellow students, this I do not understand.
Well, Cohen, I think an important point you made is talking about peaceful protests and everybody having the right to peacefully protest and to advocate. Look, my background before launching a media network was that I represented Colin Kaepernick and was business partners with Colin Kaepernick, who peacefully protested police brutality, for which he was retaliated against by taking a knee. He was, not doing it in any way other than kept to himself. He was silent, and he was and he took a knee because it shows respect. And he thought, also reverence to those lives that were lost because of police brutality. And he wanted to do it in a respectful way. And I reflect on that moment and where I was. I didn't know I was going to be launching a media network at that time, but I remember what Donald Trump said at the time when he was in Huntsville, Alabama. Trump said, get that SOB, but he used the curse word, off the field. And eventually that's, what happened. And Colin's never been able to really play another professional football game again. But reflecting on Colin taking a knee, peacefully protesting while the anthem was playing, frankly, as a sign of respect, comparing that to what we see now, though, also with the fact that Trump and the MAGA Republicans have changed our national anthem. They have their own new version of our national anthem that's sung by the January 6th insurrectionists, and they play the J6 anthem. Also, that our great American flag has been changed, and now at all of the Trump rallies, they have Trump's image on it, or Trump's face on it, or Trump's name on it. And then I think obviously about January 6th and how the flags were being used as weapons to batter and maim and harm, and in some instances, resulting in the death of police officers, and so I fundamentally, reflect on the importance of protest, I mean, again, with my background, especially representing Kaepernick, I also think protests need to be peaceful protests, and I respect the rights of everybody, to do that. But one of the things that we have here, though, as well in general, is there's a full-fledged assault, though, on our democracy. And I think that's what we're facing right now. That's what we're confronting right now. And with these arguments with the Supreme Court on this idea of absolute immunity, as Judge Ludig, who spoke with Michael Popak, said, it's in many ways unsouling our nation. The soul of our nation is rooted in no man or no person is above the law. And if you remove that concept, then you really kind of remove why this nation. It's as simple to me, Cohen, I want to get your take on this, why our country was founded, how it was founded. This isn't a complicated thing that you have to do statutory construction or constitutional this or go to read the Federalist Papers. I mean, our country was founded because there was absolute immunity. It was called the king. It was authoritarians. We were founded as a reaction to that. So as I think about MAGA conservatism versus what conservatism should be about preserving our democracy, small d, institutions. The MAGA version of this is conserving the monarchy, conserving what existed throughout humankind, dictatorship.
Exactly what we fought. It's exactly what we fought to break away from. I mean, that's just the simplest way of describing it. Why these folks want to end up going back to a way of life that we fought, that American blood was spilled on our land in order to create what we have today. This, this democratic republic. There's the ideal, as you said, that all men are created equal, or I should say all persons are created equal. I mean, to me, I don't understand what the Supreme Court is doing. I am incredibly troubled by the Department of Justice. I'm incredibly troubled by some of the decisions that the Supreme Court are acting upon. And I get it. They have a different set of values than I. They live by some theocratic old, the New Testament, that their strict interpretation of it as opposed to the law. I don't know if you saw this, but there was a preacher, and I'm going to make it up for a second. Maybe one of our brigaders can help me out here. I think he's like in North Carolina, South Carolina, something like that, a preacher. And he attacked the Trump Bible with such ferocity, with such anger, that nobody's supposed to brand a Bible, that it's blasphemous. Did anybody see that too? North Carolina? Yeah, I was so taken back by him, because normally, look, I've seen these shows my entire life. They've always intrigued me. I'm close with the Falwells, or at least I used to be much closer. But I've been watching, even since I was a little kid, I was always mesmerized by Oral Roberts and the size of the Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I used to get a kick out of him walking back and forth, and, the theatrics that go on. But there were no theatrics here. The fact that there is the Bill of Rights or the Constitution in the back of a Bible. How many times on this program, Ben, on this Midas Touch network, the network that you go to when you want facts, not innuendo? How many times did we end up talking about the fact that the Bible and Constitution or Bill of Rights, or, we'll call it government documents, should never be attached to a Bible? It's the definition of the separation of church and state being violated for $59.99. And this preacher was so angry that people are actually buying it, that, to have a branded Bible, there's no branding of the Bible. The Bible is branded the Bible, right? It's funny It would be funny if it wasn't true. But the fact that it is true, it's not funny. It's pathetic. Ben, you're on mute.
Let me give you some easy ones, Cohen, that I think are some low-hanging fruit for you right here, which are big topics that lots of people are discussing. Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem and talking about how she killed her puppy Cricket because it wasn't hunting the way she wanted it to hunt. And she willingly told this story in her new book, and she's apparently going to the villages now in Florida to promote this. And then she started talking about how then she killed a goat right after. She apparently killed 3 horses on the same day. It was odd that she I understand. I really don't understand, but if
good thing you weren't dating her at the time, Ben.
There were 3 on the same day. Here's another photo of Cricket that we have of the dog that she killed. I think we have it. But she then goes and talks about how there it is. I can understand why some people are upset about a 20-year-old story of Cricket, one of the working dogs at our ranch in my upcoming book, No Going Back. The book is filled with many honest stories of my life, good and bad days, challenges, painful decisions, and lessons learned. And so the way MAGA has kind of mutated now, Cohen, is she thinks that this story, because in her kind of bubble, she thought that this story was going to be something that actually earned her cred, that she killed her puppy. And it is so odd and strange. What do you make of that, Cohen?
I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Norman Bates. For God's sakes, this makes absolutely no sense to me. How she thought that any rational American, any rational human being, your dog is barking, your dog isn't acting, a puppy isn't acting the way that she wants it to do. So you take the dog, you put it down into a ditch, and then you shoot it. And she thought she's going to become vice president of the United States by shooting a puppy. With all due respect, now I understand why she likes Corey Lewandowski, why they're together. They're 2 basket cases. How do you turn her? Why? Listen, if you don't want the dog, bring it to a shelter, bring it to a next door neighbor. I'm sure somebody would take your puppy, right? There's no doubt in my mind. People adopt dogs all the time. Instead, she felt that she had to terminate this puppy's life because the puppy wasn't acting according to the way that she wanted it to. It's a sick, demented, and then to go and to try now we're in damage control business, baby, and there's nobody that knows damage control better than yo. All right, so she's now out there trying to say it's not true, it's not in my book. Cricket died, whatever it might be. She realized that she put her foot in her mouth, right? The problem is that the shoe doesn't taste like peppermint. That I can tell you. But the fact, I don't care if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, I don't care if you're independent. I don't care if you're old, if you're young. It makes no difference what generation you follow. You shoot a puppy, you're a piece of shit.
We'll reserve potential 2-finger salute there. But I'm going to give you a number of candidates right now. So we have Kristi Noem, who's eligible for the 2-finger salute. Let me show you Vivek.
She's getting it no matter what. I'm gonna give a little hint to everybody. She's number 1 on my list.
Well,
right? Anybody that kills a puppy, that's a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned.
Well, here's Vivek Ramaswamy at a recent speech where he talks about how the founding fathers, they're the ones who will hold people accountable in the afterlife. Here, play this clip.
It's going to be every one of you, every one of us doing our part as well for this country. And when we face our founding fathers in the afterlife and they ask us, what sacrifice did you make for your country? We better have a damn good answer for them, and we will. This is a 1776 moment in our country. I don't say that lightly.
don't even know what you're saying, Vivek. This is a 1776 moment. It must be so easy, like if you don't give a crap about anything, Cohen, to just go on there and just say, this is a 1776 moment, and our founding fathers, they will be waiting for each of you to judge if you are true patriots. How big of a patriot? It's like what are you even talking? This is some weird.
I'd like to ask him. I would personally like to ask him, what have you ever done for this country? Did you serve in the military? Did you go to war in order to protect our democratic republic? Let me ask you this. Have you gone ahead and have you testified before Congress 7 times? Did you assist the Mueller team? Right? Did you hold individuals accountable for their dirty deeds? Or what did you do? You ran a race and you ended up, winning an election. You fooled a bunch of people. I mean, what did you do to benefit anybody else? And the answer is not a goddamn thing. We all know how he made his money, but this fucking jerk off is up there, and you have people standing there and applauding and clapping for him. What are you saying? What are you saying? 1776, right? This wasn't compared to 2024. Think about how this country has progressed since 1776 to 2024. Think about it. Now, let's go back a little over a year or so before the overturning of Roe v. Wade via the Dobbs decision. And then you turn around and you say, well, whoa. If we're on one of those mathematical scales, right, we hit the top of that, and we're actually on a decline. So I don't understand what they're talking about. I mean, the level of hatred, between Republicans and Democrats, the fact that you have, now this rise of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. I mean, what are we doing? We're so much forget about just as Americans, we are so much better than this. We are so much better than somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy, all right, who is standing up on a stage basically calling for another civil war in this country, but a civil war between their sort of 1864 ideals and values as compared to the values that we should have and more in the year 2024. I don't understand. It's all for them about becoming the elite class. You see, that's what they see right now, that they could become the elite class by shifting to that direction, right? By following one individual, following him, raising money off of it, and they will be, as we have with Vladimir Putin, they will be the oligarchs.
Kristi Noem, Vivek, we're doing a list right here. Here we have Rudy Giuliani on right-wing media, and here's what he said that MAGA Mike Johnson should be doing in terms of withholding aid to Ukraine unless President Zelensky turns over to the MAGAs in the House of Representatives a Biden file. I don't know, sounds like deja vu to me, but this is what Giuliani, it's a confession, but this is what Giuliani just said. Play the clip.
With Brennan, when they were hatching, when he was informed of Hillary coming up with the false plot, it should begin with him, and it should include Brennan, it should include Biden, the vice president, who approved it and helped out. They should bring over from Ukraine about 20 Ukrainian witnesses, I can get them, that are still being held there. A couple I found out very recently are in fear of death, and somebody should lean on Zelensky. You want another penny? Give us your Biden file.
He said somebody should lean on.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Can we go back and see if somebody can't figure out what kind of painting that was? Maybe it's a well-known artist or something, because I'm sure Ruby Freeman and Shai Moss, would like to grab a hold of that too as part of the Giuliani estate. Somebody needs to go ahead. I'm going to send that to a friend of mine who's actually an art dealer, and see, maybe it's like a de Kooning, maybe it's maybe it's a famous artist or something, a Debussy, right? Could you imagine? And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, hold on there, Rudy Colludi, drunken Giuliani, you psychopath, right? Don't you owe something like $100 million to Ruby Freeman and Shy Moss? We're going to stop by. We're going to take control over that painting, right? Yeah.
Cohen, it's a very odd placement of that painting, though. Too, here, show it one more time. Not the video, just the photo of it. Like the way he's positioned right there. You know, you have like the moldings on the wall. Like, why would you randomly like why? It's off balanced. Why is it even there? Anyway, I could definitely give you my whole aesthetic room rating of that. But let's talk about
that one. That one gets a 1.2. That's like a bad Dave Portnoy pizza. Yeah, I think he gave a rating like that from, I think it was a Costco pizza with the bad flop, too much oil, and the cheese was just not tasty. He gave like a 1.2. I give that room rater, David Portnoy, 1.2.
He's basically saying to the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives to lean on, basically extort President Zelensky, that you won't fund Ukraine's defense from the unlawful invasion of Russia unless you produce Biden file, which is a made-up concept and a made-up thing, but lean on them to dig up dirt in a presidential. I mean, that's what, and he's just saying it. I was going to make a connection that I can't necessarily make, but focus on Rudy. I won't go bring in the other point I wanted to make, but talk about just Rudy and Rudy's statement right there. We don't have to talk
There's
about
nothing. Well, I mean, what's there really to talk about? Didn't he get himself already into enough trouble? I mean, he's already losing his apartment here in the city. He's going to lose his house or his apartment in Florida, in Palm Beach. Lord knows where he's going to live. It's certainly not going to be with his idiot son, Andrew. I mean, this kid can't find himself. You know, he can't find himself in a one-man hide-and-seek game. It's incredible. I saw there was something on, whether it was TikTok or Instagram. His son was at some rally, and the guy comes over to him, and he said, "I'm Andrew Giuliani." He goes, "Wait, you mean related to the guy who had the stuff dripping from?" He goes, he refused to acknowledge that Rudy was his father or something like that. I mean, this is just seriously, it's becoming a clown show of stupidity. He realizes at the end of the day, he's going to be left with nothing. America's mayor at one time is going to end up being a homeless charge. Can you imagine this? I mean, talk about how many more people have to follow in my footsteps. How many more people have to turn around and lose everything? I told Rudy that this was going to happen. I told Mark Meadows this is going to happen. Did I not yell it loud enough when I was then railroaded? When you have Christina Bobb, John Eastman, you have, I mean, God, how many more people are going to end up, you know, losing their law license, losing their livelihood, their honor, their reputation, their family's happiness, all for what? All for what? For the prospect that's never going to happen? By the way, the interesting thing in Rudy's bankruptcy proceeding, could you imagine that the single greatest asset in Rudy's bankruptcy proceeding filing is the outstanding legal fees owed to him by the former president? Could you imagine this? That's the largest asset.
I can't imagine. I have a lot more to say on that, and I'm sure you may as well, but we'll save that for future episodes of Political Beatdown there as well. So we went through Kristi Noem. We talked about Vivek. We talked about Rudy Giuliani. When we get back, I want to talk about James Comer. I want to talk about Jared Kushner, and then we'll have you vote for who's going to win your two-finger salute with all of these people.
I also want to just bring up thanks to all of our brigaders and everything that they're doing in terms of with the help with the GoFundMe and everything, between Danya Perry, who's my lawyer, and Justin Nelson, who's the famous defamation lawyer that actually sued Fox and got that $700+ million verdict. OAN fully retracted and apologized. Think about this, Ben. A far right-wing media network apologizing to Michael Cohen about a story that is a lie, that was fake. So hopefully we'll get to that too.
I definitely want to talk about that first, in fact, when we come back from this quick break.
Living a more heart-healthy life fuels everything that you do. So introducing 3-in-1 blood pressure support plus CoQ10 from SuperBeets Heart Chews Advanced. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the grape seed extract in SuperBeets is clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. New SuperBeets Heart Chews Advanced supports healthy CoQ10 levels, an important nutrient for heart health. SuperBeets Heart Chews are incredibly delicious and so much better than any alternative supplements that are out there. See, I take my SuperBeets Heart Chews each morning, and it's really kickstarted my morning routine. After taking my SuperBeets Heart Chews, I feel like I have more energy and I'm ready to take on the day. SuperBeets includes a powerful 3-in-1 formula for healthy blood pressure, featuring grapeseed extract, beetroot powder, and CoQ10. There are no pills to swallow, no ingredients to mix or prepare. And best of all, they're effective and clinically researched ingredients, and they're #1 doctor, pharmacist, and cardiologist recommended beet brand for cardiovascular health support. Find out how you get a free 30-day supply on bundles of new SuperBeets Heart Chews Advanced and save 15% by going to getsuperbeets.com. That's GetSuperBeets.com. Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? Look, I know about sleep quality because I'm sleep deprived. But if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. It's inspired by NASA. Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating, and they're designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. I mean, no more gross odors. You see, Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands, and they feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and worse, acne. So sleep clean with Miracle. Go to trymiracle.com/beat and try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo BEAT, that's BEAT, at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, well, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
Welcome back. We're live on Political Beatdown. It's great to be here with you, Michael Cohen. Cohen, I'm just going to read your statement. I'm not going to ask that you react to this one. This is a statement that you gave generally to the press, so I feel comfortable reading it if we can pull it up. Cohen wrote that the imposed fine, this is regarding the gag order violations that were found today in court. The imposed fine is irrelevant. Justice Merchan's decision elucidates that this behavior will not be tolerated and that no one is above the law. I'll leave it there. And Cohen, I don't want you to even respond further. That's your statement that you put out publicly. I do want to say this as well. And I think it's fair for me to say, we only had one sponsorship block today. And as I was reflecting on this ABC story that has I don't want you to respond to it either, but I just want to make this point that has you on TikTok. And it was like, oh, look, Cohen doing all of these things. Like I can tell you from being an executive here at the Midas Touch Network that we used to have 2 sponsorship blocks. It's certainly less now. As a result of the proceedings, and it's actually not, there's a lot that I can't talk about that I'm doing on a separate show. So, any of that's out there is just simply, in my own perspective, rebutted by the reality of the situation. So let me just leave it at that. But you are able to talk about the OAN situation. So I want to hear from you there, Cohen, about OAN and what went down.
Yeah, so what happened was they put out this story. We talked about it here on Beatdown a while back, claiming that it was I who was having the affair with Stormy, and that Stormy and I concocted a plan in 2016 to extort Trump and the Trump organization out of money before the presidential race. And where did they come up with this ingenious story, this fantastical story? Some guy named Tony Saruga, who is allegedly friends with Michael Avenatti, or he was business partners, or they shared an office or something like that. And obviously, Avenatti then came out and said it's bullshit. Saruga he just wants to be relevant and get his name into the paper, and he denied it. Of course, I done. The whole thing is so stupid anyway. So I sent a cease and desist. Was then contacted by OAN's general counsel. I then turned the entire file over to Justin Nelson, the attorney, as I was saying before, that got the $700 million verdict against Fox and OAN and so on. And in conjunction with Danya Perry, who was my lawyer, within about 2 weeks, we had a statement that was put out. They did a full retraction. They removed it from their website and apologized for any harm that the article may have caused me. It's a win because it's about time that people start holding these companies to task when it comes to defamation, slander, and so on. And it's, what most people don't understand, because thank God you've never been through it, but these sort of articles, when they get regurgitated and promoted over and over and over again between the OANs, the Newsmax, the Fox, and so on, as well as the entire MAGA moronic cult. This is what ends up happening. It becomes overwhelming, even for somebody who has incredibly thick skin and has been down this road before. It is overwhelming and it is mentally taxing. So I am extremely thankful and appreciative that OAN did the right thing, retracted the statement, apologized, and removed it, and shut the shit right down.
Yeah, I think it was great work. And, you standing up for yourself, not backing down. A lot of people would have just been like, hey, whatever, I'm just going to let it happen, not you. And I think that's one of the things we all appreciate about what you do. We've talked about Kristi Noem, Vivek Ramaswamy, Rudy Giuliani. Next up on my list is MAGA Republican James Comer, who chairs the House Oversight Committee. His new talking point last night when he did the right-wing media circuit is that the reason his impeachment investigation is stalled is actually because there is too much evidence, he says. Here, play this clip.
Here's a $64,000 question, Chairman. When do we hold them accountable for perjury or evading taxes?
A lot evading taxes, many financial crimes. The reason that this is taking so long, in addition to the obstruction for the White House, is there's more evidence that comes in every day.
He's too cowardly to even hold hearings anymore because Jared Moskowitz, Jamie Raskin, others in the House, Jasmine Crockett. Here he is again, and this is just a funny moment where he's basically just trying to make fetch happen. Take a look at this.
Tell us what you've found. You've got some new news here that may really implicate Jim Biden and Hunter. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, this is more evidence of influence peddling. This is what we've been saying for the past year.
Now, let me show you,
Cohen. It's really a shame because I know Eric Bolling. I've known him for a long time, and as well as his wife. And I'm so disappointed. He's better. I'm telling you. And Brigaders, don't get angry at me for saying this because he's a Fox News guy. He's better than this. And he fucking knows it, right? He knows better. He's been through terrible shit in his life. He knows what he's doing. The question becomes why? Why? It makes no sense. He knows what he's saying is horseshit. He's laughing at the stupidity of Comer, and more so, he's laughing at the stupidity of the people that voted for Comer to become a representative. It's such a shame. They all know better, but for whatever the reason is, they have gone down this dumpster hole, right? This gigantic hole, and fell right into this dumpster cult. I don't understand what I'd have so much. We would all have so much more respect for him if he would stand up and he would say what he really believes and what he really means. And this ain't it.
Well, you just gotta follow the money. It's actually Max. He's a Newsmax, and they gave him his own show. He goes out, he says these ridiculous things. They've got a base of people who eat this stuff up. And, he fancies himself as, like a Hannity, like a Tucker, and he wasn't able to really reach his dreams or what he thought he could achieve. So what do? You go and you say this ridiculous stuff, and you get a whole base of people who eat this up, and you feed lies to people who don't want to deal with complicated issues. And the reality is, though, Cohen, at the same time you have Comer saying that, right? Here's one of the things that we do know. I mean, he's still talking about Hunter Biden, Hunter this, Hunter that. And then when they had the opportunity to have Hunter actually testify live when Hunter showed up, none of them actually asked Hunter questions. But take a look at this. Here's a chart, I think we have it right here, of Kushner's Middle East deals from Affinity Partners. So while the MAGA Republicans are complaining about things that, like when President Biden was not even the vice president and not the president, he loaned Hunter $4,000, right? That's one of the main accusations. The other stuff is like they use whistleblowers from Russia who are not really whistleblowers. Like they use foreign agents from Russia, foreign agents from the CCP against a sitting president. Here's just undisputed facts staring us all in the face. That while Kushner was in office and right as he left, he was appointed to lead Middle East policy. And then he was like negotiating these deals, I think, while he was still in these positions. Kushner raised $3.1 billion, and basically all of it from foreign places like Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, other non-U.S. countries. Saudi Arabia gave him $2 billion, UAE $200 million, Qatar $200 million, and other foreign nations $625 million. You have MBS, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, saying that Kushner is in his pocket. You had this exclusive from the Daily Mail that went unrebutted. Saudi crown prince bragged that Jared Kushner gave him CIA intelligence about other Saudis, saying, "Here are your enemies," days before corruption crackdown, which led to torture and death. And here's Jared Kushner recently in an interview with Axios, where Axios asks about the billions of dollars received from Saudi Arabia. And Kushner goes, are we really still talking about this? Are you really still is this still a thing? Here, play this clip.
The DNI report came out a couple weeks after you left the White House. It says that MBS personally was responsible. Do you agree with the DNI? Do you believe that report?
Are we really still doing this, Dan? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
So let's go to this.
Then finally, Cohen, here's what Jim Jordan recently said about Jared Kushner. Let's play this clip.
And Dan Goldman, I don't think we have the soundbite queued up, but I think Dan Goldman came out and said, oh yeah, Hunter had nothing to do with foreign governments, but Jared Kushner did. That narrative come up?
Again, I'm not going to get into what came up in this interview today, this deposition, but the idea that Jared Kushner did something wrong is ridiculous. I mean, the Trump family that has been investigated more than any family on the planet, and what they've attempted to do to President Trump and been doing to President Trump over the last 7 years is unbelievable. So, again, I don't want to get into that, but I will say this.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this, Congress.
I want you to focus your answer here, Kushner, now, not on he who's not named on the show for now, but on Kushner, on right-wing media, on James Comer, and where you have Kushner's conduct staring us in the face. That is the most egregious of egregious, and you hear that level of lies and gaslighting.
The problem is that many people who watched that show or had seen that clip, they're all saying the same thing. Of course, there's corruption that went on here. Jared is not a hedge fund guy. In fact, Jared is known in New York as being one of the worst real estate guys in the city's history, especially with the single worst real estate deal ever done in New York City. And that was the acquisition of 666 Fifth Avenue, which, if in fact that it went under, which it was supposed to, would have caused potentially the Kushner company, what his daddy started, to go bankrupt somehow or another. Not Park Avenue, 666 Fifth Avenue. All right. So what ends up happening is, I think it was Qatar that bailed out the building through Brookfield Properties or something like that. And they ended up putting like over $200 million into their pocket, what was supposed to be a complete and total loss, considering they overspent in the acquisition of it 20 some odd years ago. He is not somebody that Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi Investment Authority, the Qatari Investment Authority would normally give their money, which is why MBS turned around and said, I don't care, after the finance division of the Saudi Investment Authority said, no, he doesn't meet our standards. MBS turned around and said, give it to him. So when you start seeing people like MBS saying, I got him in my pocket, or that they showed him CIA, top secret CIA information that led to the roundup of all of the other members of the various royal families, where MBS had them sign over their funds. Let me tell you this, on $3 billion with the way that Affinity works, they get 2 and 20. He's pulling down. So we can all laugh at this fucking scarecrow. He's pulling down off that $3.1 billion. Every January 1, he gets to write himself a check for $60 million. All right? And whatever profit that they make, I think they're taking 20% of the profit. So who's laughing at who?
Well, we should all be outraged, and it shouldn't be a Democrat or Republican thing, this team or that team thing. I know that's the way politics is right now, but why I wanted to show the video in that series, what James Comer was saying to what is actually undisputed before our eyes. And what you and I like to talk about on this show are really the undisputed facts. Part of why we call this show Political Beatdown is a beatdown on politics that's trying to prevent us from getting at the facts. It's a beatdown on the spin. It's just focus on these things. Yes, you and I will have strong opinions once we lay out the facts, but we don't start with anger or outrage. We start with the facts, and then we share our respective views. So, Cohen, here's the list that we have.
I just have anger and outrage all the time. You know, you on the other hand, Ben, you know, you balance me. You know, you balance, Ben.
That's why this show works, and I've made a career of balancing people. That's the one skill set that I have is balancing people. All right, we got Kristi Noem, Vivek Ramaswamy. You have Giuliani. You've got Comer, and I'll just throw Kushner on the list just because you've got to give the two-finger salute to just one Michael Cohen. I know you may want to give it to everybody. That's a cop-out. It has to go to one, and you got to explain why, and we'll leave it there. Who do you give it to?
Kristi Noem, hands down. I don't even think that an explanation is warranted. I think anybody that wants to brag about killing a puppy, in this case, this cute cricket, has to get the two-finger salute. In fact, I'll tell you what I'd really like to see. Based upon all the information that we now have, I would like to see the authorities show up to her house and, you know, and indict her, to be honest with you, for animal cruelty. All right. She's a sad excuse for, you know, for a human being to shoot a puppy because the dog wasn't acting the way that you wanted it to. I mean, that just goes to a whole nother level of somebody's got some real problems.
There you have it. Rest in peace, cricket. Rest in peace, cricket.
No, not to you, cricket. That's for Kristi Noem.
Yeah, that's not for cricket. That's not for rest in peace,
cricket. We give one of those.
Cricket gets the heart. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for our pro-democracy sponsors who are sticking with this program. We are grateful.
And thank you for all the love that you keep showing to me. You have no idea. You know, I don't know if you could see it. Even my clothes are now much bigger. I'm down 26 pounds, right? I mean, literally 26 pounds. It's so hard to eat. I'm so wound up over all of this shit, waiting every single day to get a phone call from my lawyer who's going to tell me when I'm going. But together, we'll get through it, you know. And I thank you, Ben, and I thank Jordy, and I thank Brett and Jeremy and Salty and the entire Midas Touch Network team. Everybody. I get phone calls, just so you guys know, from the brothers and everybody there at the company, you know, on a regular basis. How you holding up? You holding up? Everything okay? You know, it's a lot of pressure. You know, and it's not pressure because of the questions or worrying about cross-examination. I don't give a shit. There's nothing that anybody can say to me that's going to get me to change my story. It's been the same story for 6 years. It's the whole work up to it. You know, it's like an exam. Think about it that way, right? You study for the exam, you know everything cold, but you still have that nervous tension before the exam starts, despite the fact on how prepared you are for it. It's just a human reaction. So I thank you, Ben, and I thank all our brigaders for being a part of this journey with me. We're not finished. We haven't crossed the finish line, but soon enough.
We're all here for you, Cohen. We appreciate you, and Cohen and I appreciate all of you brigaders. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for respecting that there are certain areas that we can no longer discuss on the show and still making this a hugely popular episode with a lot of people in here. Thank you for that. And we feed off of your energy as well, Brigaders. So it means a lot to us. We look at the chat, we look at the comments. We know how passionate you are about our democracy. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and let other people know about this network. That's the best way you can help. Tell people about Political Beatdown. Subscribe to Political Beatdown on audio podcasts. Subscribe to the Midas Touch Network. You could help Cohen at that firewall fund. That one goes to his legal defense. So, I want to create my own firewall. Firewallfund.com. That's Cohen's legal defense. If you want to, though, support the network and support the show separately, I want to be very clear. That's separate. That's at patreon.com/political beatdown, patreon.com/political beatdown. Thank you all so much. Cohen, we're here for you. Shout out to the Brigaders and shout out to the Midas Mighty.